大家好，我是雪飞现在呢，我想讲一讲这个北京冬奥会的情况。OK，Hello everyone, I'm Xue Chen Song. I like to talk about the Winter Olympics in Beijing. Uh, Actually, I have been there in 2019 in October, the 18th, October 17, 18, 19th. I was there for 3 days. Right after the Tiananmen National Day parade, then I went to Xinjiang, Urumqi, and stayed there for 3 days. And then I went to Sichuan, went to Jiuzhaigou. In Xinjiang, actually, I have to mention Xinjiang again. I have been to Xinjiang for 3 times. The first time I was there in 2018, August 24th till September 2nd. So I stay about a week. In Xinjiang, I went to Urumqi and went to the Grand Bazaar, Xinjiang Museum, Xinjiang Art Theater, and Kanas Theater, Burkin, Xinjiang. In Urumqi, we also went to Mukam Art Institute, and also went to a neighborhood party. Also experienced or tasted a lot of this Muslim food, like Xinjiang's rice. And also we went to the beautiful Kanas or Altai. Altai is very, very beautiful. When I was there, it reminds me of Canada, where I used to visit a lot of tree house and a lot of forest. And that forest is very similar to the Canada forest. Also, a lot of pine trees. Altai Mountain is a gold mountain, and on the shadow side, there is a lot of forests, very good forests, and on the sunshine side, the mountain was barren. There's a lot of just rocks. So the pine trees, maybe that's the character. It doesn't like the sun. And the river is also wonderful, marvelous river. When I look at that river, it reminds me of New Zealand when I was in Milford Sound in southern New Zealand, where there was a river in Dunedin or Milford Sound. Along there, when we take the bus, we see the river along the road. And that river also, the green jade color of the, like emerald, or, it's a green blue, very beautiful feeling. And I know that in New Zealand, in that river, there was gold. A lot of Chinese, long time ago, 100 years ago, they went to New Zealand and they just mined the gold. How did I know that? Because tour guide said that along the river there are small cottage, stone house. And that stone house, very small, almost like a toilet in our countryside. It's piled up with or built by with a stone, very small, and that was the Chinese people or gold miners used to live there. Later in New Zealand, they make a Chinese history museum where they host a lot of Chinese. Because in New Zealand, there was a story also, it's a scandal, like when the Chinese went there, they have to pay a great amount of the person's fee. You pay a fee in order to get work there. And they think that is an unfair rule. So later they seek compensation for that. Yeah, but I just want to talk about natural environment, actually. So when I was in Altai in Xinjiang, it reminds me of Canada, remind me of New Zealand, and also remind me in Norway. You know, in Norway, you'll see also the high mountains and with the lakes and rivers. And the water is blue and green, and that's typical like in Altai. And before we arrived to Kaunas, Altai, we were in Burken. In Burken, we actually went to this colorful strand called Wucaitan. This colorful strand is not really how can I say? It's a river, and the river is also special because it's called the Erjitsi River, and this river is the only river that flows to the Arctic. While all the Chinese rivers flow flowing to the east to the East Sea or Yellow Sea, but only this river flowing to west, northwest to Arctic. And along this river, there are a lot of populus tree, and that populus tree is a special Xinjiang populus tree. It's extremely beautiful. It's a very spectacular form. It's not like the populus tree in northeast China, which only very tall and very straight to the sky. The populus tree in Xinjiang, it's just beautiful. It's idyllic, and it's very good in tolerating the dryness. So wherever there is a populus tree, actually there's a river, there's wetness. So its tree keeps this environment better. And in this colorful strand, I say it's beautiful. It's because in this area, place there is, you know, the maybe I can show you here with my mobile phone. I was really, really impressed and can never forget my experience there. Do I have colorful strand? You can see, yes. Yeah. This is very special. Look, this thing is called Yadan Di Mao. Yadan, let's change the color. Maybe this is more real. Yadan landscape. It is named by actually Sven Hedin from Sweden. 100 years ago, Sven Hedin went to China, and he actually went in from Nepal, Tibet, and then to Xinjiang. So the great explorers of Swedish. And actually, so he gave the name, and there is a lot of this kind of landscape there. And there is also semi-desert, it's called Gobi. Gobi Desert, and there is a sand, and so I say this is a very, very beautiful place, and really impressive. And then we fly back and come to Canas. In Canas, I can show you. In Canas, this is the tree house. See, in Canas, you see a lot of these tree house, and this kind of tree house, I see that in Sweden too, right? In Sweden, we use this kind of style. You don't use any the bolt or any iron and steel. You just use the tree to put them together, cut them together, and it's a very traditional way to do. And it's just so beautiful. Look, this is where we live, and look at this. This is the water, so it's a green water. With 2D green screen is not okay. This is maybe more like real. And you see the upper part, it is fog. So in the morning when it's foggy, it's just so marvelous, so beautiful, and you just get like when you climb the mountain, you see a lot of different sceneries, and every step up is a new scenery. And it was raining and also blowing a lot, strong wind. So we were given or we borrow a big overcoat, and even it's August, it's with 1,000 stairs up, it's quite cold. And but in the afternoon, it becomes sunny immediately, and we take a boat and we just go over into the lake, actually. And the lake was very, very, very beautiful. So Canas Lake is just wonderful. And with the same day, we have different scenery, and the 4 seasons, you have very different sceneries, and it's always echo the sunshine. So when the sun is shining, it's blue, and when the sun, no sun, cloudy, then it's gray, and in winter, it's gray, and but it has a lot of good ice, and so people can ski there, or skating, or have a winter festival also. So Canas is just absolutely beautiful, and they also just protect that area as a very clean, environmentally protected 5A area in China. So if you go to Canas, you cannot go by yourself. Once you arrive in the scenery place, you have to park your own car outside, and then you take the car in the park, and they drive you back and forth. They drive you in, and then the same way coming back. And through the road, you will see this called crouching tiger, hidden dragon. No, it's a crouching dinosaur, and so called crouching dinosaur Bay, 卧龙湾, and 月亮湾 is a Moon Bay, and also there was another one. What is that? Yeah, so it's just absolutely beautiful, absolutely rare, and special, and it's just a spectacular experience in Xinjiang. And you can see also on the way, I was so impressed. I was almost moved because I feel like, yeah, it's only under the leadership of the Communist Party that they spend a lot of money here. Then they can build the very good road in Xinjiang. Without a big investment, you can't make any road, and it's a very actually can be dangerous sometimes. But now they build a road, and people can just have a. If you drive a car, you can drive anywhere in Xinjiang, and so this infrastructure Belt and Road is really really wonderful. So Xinjiang is the center of, or say, communication hub of the Belt and Road, right? It's linking East and West. East China, Shanghai, Zhejiang, Jiangsu, Jiangxi provinces, if they have any products like tomato sauce or even any vegetables like the garlic and the computer in Sichuan province or furniture in Jiangxi province and so on. So now China has, with the development of the data technology, then they combined the international post service and the domestic service. So they cooperate with each other. So domestic post or transportation, they within 24 hours they can just move things from Shanghai to Wumqi, and then they just unload it there immediately, change this into this China-Europe express train, and reload there, and then the next day they just drive that immediately from Wumqi to Hamburg or to Berlin or other places in Europe. And then from there they go to Italy, go to Greece, go to Spain or Sweden. It's all possible. It's all possible. And so with this train, it's said that even during the COVID-19 period last year, they have 10,000 times transportation. 10,000 times. So it's really help the European countries with a lot of goods like COVID-19 preventive goods, medicines, or other daily necessities, yeah, like gloves, masks, and so on. So it's very, very good, actually. This China-Europe train, it's really the best solution for the transport between China and Europe. Think of it, because airplane can be expensive, and the ocean with a boat nowadays, a boat almost didn't work due to this COVID-19, and also the boat will go roundabout way, so it takes a longer time. So only this train is really the best solution. It's not as expensive as airplane, and it's a shorter time than the boat. And so we feel like, yeah, I just like to say Xinjiang is actually very, very beautiful. And of course, a lot of people say the human rights, this and that. But when I was there, I think Xinjiang was just wonderful. And like in Urumqi, I see a lot of people there. The Grand Bazaar is as busy as ever. It's very busy and very good, very prosperous. But when I talk with the local people, they also said that actually the human rights situation improved greatly, because in 2009, when they have this July 5th accidents, there was the massacre, or a lot of people, the business people were killed, and the riot, damaged. A lot of people get damaged and wounded. And later on, the terrorists actually carry out several bombing accidents or attack, even in the Grand Bazaar. So in fact, they said it's just like 3 years. 3 years since 3 years ago, there is no bombing at all, and by now it should be. That was 18. So it's like a 2015 or 16. Then the bombing or terrorist attack were prevented, were stopped completely. And so people are very happy now. They have this business resumed, and they can visit their relatives, and they can do business, and there are a lot of tourists there. And Xinjiang has a slogan like to use tourism to replace terrorism. So they want to improve people's lives. And so a colleague from the Xinjiang radio also said, it's very good. The life is it's much secure now. So before, people were worried about the terrorism. People were scared. When they live there, they don't feel it's safe. But now they feel very safe. In the West, I think we talking about that they think the Chinese government treating the terrorists too tough, not very nice. So they worry more about the terrorists instead of worry about the common people. But the Chinese people think the Chinese government is right, because they now is very strict in cracking down these terrorists. So in general, the social order is resumed, and the social life, social security has greatly improved. So that is actually in Xinjiang, most people, they all feel very positive, and they think their salaries increased, infrastructure improved, a lot of new buildings has been built, road is very new, and also the internet is quite developed. In Xinjiang, it's very developed actually. So 2018 was the first time for me to go to Xinjiang. My impression traditionally was thinking that Xinjiang was very backward, and when I was at university in 1980s, it's only some model students will register themselves to go to Xinjiang, and we think it's just a very difficult areas. Not many people really willing to go there, and for me also, on one hand, I don't have time because I was working too hard. I don't have much holidays. On the other hand, I didn't expect that it was such a advanced, well-developed area. So it was really to my surprise. When I arrived in Urumqi, I just feel like, wow, it's like my hometown cities, Beijing, Wang Fujing, Xidan. They just use the name Xidan downtown and Wang Fujing. So I lived in a petroleum museum, petroleum hotel. And right at the entrance of the hotel, beside that is a new subway. There's a new subway station. And so the road was extremely wide. Xinjiang's road is really, really wide. It's really broad and few cars. And so it was just so impressive. So that leave me a wonderful impression. And then after that, in 2019, in March 2019, after the National People's Congress, I went to Xinjiang again, and I stayed for 2 days. I went to Turpan. So before I was in north part of Urumqi, and this time I tend to go to a little bit south. And Turpan is just like a satellite city of Urumqi. So it's 2 hours, 3 hours away from Urumqi. So just and right after the airport, and then after about an hour, we just arrive in Dabancheng. This area we have some chicken food for lunch. And Dabancheng is actually 大本城 school， 大本城的姑娘，你要嫁人不要嫁给别人，一定要嫁给我。This song was just so popular in China and broadcasting on TV and radio, and this melody is typical of the Uyghurs melody. But when I arrive in Dabancheng, I see, yeah, it's just like my hometown free market. So like one street, and beside the streets are all the restaurants, and they have all, yeah, so many restaurants, but not many people. And actually, this on this road, it's heavy wind, a lot of wind. So on the way, you can see just it's a lot of wind turbines. So Xinjiang is absolutely the world's largest wind power generation place. We used to say Denmark is the largest one. I'm not sure it's still Denmark is the largest. Of course, Denmark has the generation unit put it in the sea, and so maybe it's bigger. But in Xinjiang, absolutely on land is just the biggest one. You can see that miles after miles, like yeah. So it's so impressive, and it's a lot of wind. And when I arrive in Turpan, it's very different from the north. In the north, the color is green. It's very green. But in the south, it's yellow. It's like a yellow water, yellow soil. So all the soil is like the mud. And the house was built by this yellow mud. And it's a lot of mud house. So it's a special sand and mud. And they build these kind of houses so that they can air the dry the grapes. And Turpan is famous for grapes. So we went to the grape valley, and there is Wang Luobin, famous songwriters museum, and it was just absolutely also very, very beautiful. Even it's only March 18th, 17th, it was already very warm. 18, 20 degrees. And so the weather was very good. They said, of course, in the summer it can be 70 degrees or 50 degrees. It's the lowest place in Xinjiang and maybe in China too. So it's absolutely hot. Someone said that if you put egg under the sun, you can cook it ripe. And this area is also the famous Journey to the West or Monkey King film was shot there. And so that is also a tourist site, very rich tourist resources. And actually in this area, there's a big graveyard and it traces the long, long history of Xinjiang. I believe Xinjiang's history is really, really long. The civilization there was very, very early, actually. And so absolutely, surprisingly, it's wonderful. And of course, it can be difficult too. So, for example, in Turpan, there is no water. And that's why they, in the ancient technique, they build the underwater canal. And that shows the Xinjiang people was so clever, intelligent. Ancient Xinjiang people was full of wisdom. So they built this underground well or underground canal that can save the water from evaporating and keep their agriculture. So Turpan is also a tourist city, and they have mukam. They have a Turpan mukam also. So Xinjiang has a Turpan mukam, Kashgar mukam, and Urumqi mukam. So they have several kinds of mukam. And that kind of melody is very traditional, and everybody can sing according to that melody, and you put in the words. So a lot of Xinjiang people can sing and dance. But the time it was short, and when I come back, then it was like there was an accident, or because of the weather or something, all the airplane was delayed. So I stayed in the Urumqi airport for the whole night, and I come back to Beijing just the next morning. So the whole night I was in the airport. And but anyway, it didn't delay my other airport back to Sweden. And then in October, I went there another time, and this time I was just actually relaxing in a hotel and have some spa or some swimming and so on. And I talked with the beautiful Uyghur girls, and yeah, a lot of children there. And there was a girl that's 10 years old, and said, "Auntie, are you alone here?" Yes, I am alone. How dreadful it is to be alone here. And I said, yeah, it's okay. But she speaks very good Chinese. And I said, wow, your Chinese is so good. And then she said, my mother is working in the radio. So her mother is working in a radio station. So also a standard broadcaster maybe. But the truth is, all the young children now, they can both speak the Uyghur language and the Chinese language, and some even English. So they are aiming at 3 languages. So these people, not only beautiful, but also intelligent. And I'm sure they will have a good, beautiful future. And I remember that the hotel swimming pool was also very tropical. They made it like in the tropical area with palm trees and so on. So it was just. I was also impressed that they provide so many toothbrush there. So as a customer, you just pick up a toothbrush and then use it, and then just once and then throw in the dustbin, just like that. Yeah, and so I think Xinjiang is really is catching up, and it's a great agriculture place, great resources province. You have the oil, you have the coal, you have energy, wind power. You have beautiful tourist resources. You have agricultural resources. You have the cotton. Recently, we talk about Xinjiang cotton. Xinjiang cotton is the best cotton in the world too. Xinjiang's watermelon is the best watermelon in the world. The Honong, the honey melon is just so sweet and so delicious. And Xinjiang has a lot of treasure also. You know, the precious stone. They have all kinds of precious stones. The pearls, the emerald, and the yellow stone, and all very beautiful. And they have a goji bear, and they have the blue goji bear, and they have all kinds of herbs. I was so impressed with the herbs also. I even bought medical equipment there, and so I really feel at home, because Xinjiang, of course, it is supported by we say the 19 provinces in the eastern areas. And also, central government give a large amount of budget for Xinjiang development. So it's very much a state-owned system. So in Xinjiang, I feel it's more at home, like our Northeast socialism. It's more socialism thinking, feeling, and the people. So that's why people are very nice. They are not like a small business, you know. But maybe I think when you go to the Grand Bazaar, the business people there, or taxi drivers, people begin to have negotiations about prices. And this negotiation, I guess, is coming from the South China, likely. Anyway, it's very... Yeah, I feel very socialist area, and quite good. But I still look forward to going there someday to the very south, like Kashgar or Korla, to have a look. Yeah. Okay. So that's all for Xinjiang. Anything else I want to talk about? Yes. Yes. And then I went to Sichuan in 2019 October. I went to Sichuan, and then we went to Jiuzhaigou, and it's fantastic, beautiful tourist site also. But that is also Tibetan Chinese living there. You know, in China, not only in Tibet, there are Tibetans. Sorry. In Xinjiang, in Tibet we have Tibetans, and then in Yunnan province we have Tibetans. In Sichuan province we have Tibetans. In Gansu, you have Tibetans. In Ningxia, you have Tibetans. In Qinghai, you have Tibetans. So Inner Mongolia has Tibetans. Inner Mongolia actually accepted the Tibetan Buddhism. So Tibetan Buddhism spread everywhere. And in this Jiuzhaigou, we see big temple there, newly built, just very splendid, big temple built in the mountain valleys. It's just unimaginable. And so the Buddhism is developing, and also there are some individuals one individual monk and also artist, he built a temple himself also, and he built called like a Tibetan art institute or art school, and absorbed a lot of recruit a lot of young students there, and they mainly it's called Tanka school. So these people just go in there and study Tanka and paint Tanka. So that's also very. Each time I've been to Tibet in 1997, August. So August is the best season to go to Xinjiang and Tibet, these areas, because in September, then after September, they will become cold. So Tibet is very pure and spiritual. So if you go to these areas, you always feel you are washed, you feel cleaner. So I was really impressed by the Tibetan culture too. And we visit a village. So a poor family with one woman divorced and has two sons. And this is a poor family. And with the help of the village leader and with the money from the country. Anyway, so the local leaders help them to find a job and give them some money. And so now they are out of poverty. They have their own house. It's a very big house. And the only difference between the rich and the poor is the poor family don't have too many glamorous things, but they have basic things. So they have tables and any necessary things, and they have a lot of cabbage there. I think they also can host tourists if necessary. So because they all have several rooms in their home. So when tourism was prosperous, then they have no problem. They are very good. But also in Sichuan, there was this 2018, there was earthquake, and that area was affected, and tourism was affected a little bit. So their business was also affected. But one of the rich family is the village head, and he's a Tibetan, and he said he inherited from his parents, from his father. And so that's a very big house, and also several rooms, and it's very glamorous. They have all the tea cups, tea kettle from Nepal, India, or other areas. It's all bronze, and it's very glamorous, very shiny inside, and holy. So they all wear the Tibetan costumes, and it's just feel wonderful. And in that area also you can see the altitude is very high, and so you can feel you can reach the blue sky, and it's just so beautiful. So when we come back from this village, then we later visit school also. In that school, they learn English, Chinese, and Tibetans. So they have musical instruments, they have computers, and they have everything they need. And the dormitory was clean, and the restaurant was also clean, and the students studied hard. Yeah, it was very good. And we also, in the evening, we watched a Tibetan film. Not a film, it's a drama. And they just play in a big square. So it was also very impressive. Yeah, so I think that the trip was also worthwhile because so I have this special experience in Xinjiang and in Tibetan living areas. So even in Sichuan, it is a Tibetan area. And of course, the most beautiful Jiuzhaigou was also very impressive. The nature is just wonderful. It's a wonder. First time I heard Jiuzhaigou was in 1988 when I was in Renmin University of China in Beijing. I have a classmate called Deng Ping from Sichuan, and he has a strong accent, but I can understand him. And he said, "You must go to Jiuzhaigou." And 就在沟太美了, huh? Yeah, it's and he even said there's the Buddha sun or sunlight there. So it was, and we went there, and it's just one after another small lakes, and it's like a spring. It's like a hot spring kind of lake, and that lake is also blue color. So I think it's on one hand, it's the sun, and maybe there is also gold. Who knows? In the mountains. In Altai, it means gold mountain. Altai mountain is a gold mountain. But I don't know in Sichuan how they call it. But the Jiuzhaigou, we see about 8 or 9 lakes and mountain waterfalls. Oh, absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I think I can show you one. Can you see? Wow, this is Jiuzhaigou. This is Jiuzhaigou. Huh? It's reflective mountains and river. Look at here. This is also my photo. It's wonderful, wonderful. Look at here. This is real. This is real. In Sichuan, just so beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Natural wonder. This was in Xinjiang. In Xinjiang, this is a moon. Yeah. It's a moon bay. Yeah. This is the food in Xinjiang and the people in Xinjiang. Yes, okay. So from Tibet to Xinjiang. No, now come back from Sichuan, and then actually from Sichuan I come back to Beijing to Hebei province, Shijiazhuang directly. There we have a meeting and meet all the leaders and colleagues and counterparts from all over the world. And then we went to Xibeipo. Xibeipo, I have been there in 1990s also when I work in China Radio International. Xibeipo was a place where Mao Zedong, Zhou Enlai, and all the communist leaders after Yan'an, and then from Yan'an they come to Xibeipo. And in Xibeipo, they begin with this called 3大战役, 3 large campaign in China. And one is my hometown. My hometown is Jinzhou, and it is called the Liaoshen campaign. Liaoshen campaign was commanded by Lin Biao, and Lin Biao's commanding office is in Mangningtun. It's only 15 kilometers from my home, from my hometown, and my parents' home now. And yeah, so it's not far from me, from us. And that, but that Xibeipo was looks quite ordinary house. It's a house. Now, when we see a lot of tall buildings, you go there, you see like a village. It's so ordinary, yet it's extraordinary because it is there before Mao Zedong and his colleagues come to Beijing. They stay there for 3 years. So life was simple, but they commanded the whole decisive, important, significant campaigns. And won. So we call that is a red revolutionary base. So every party member will go there. A lot of people go there when they lack of direction, lack of courage, lack of thoughts. They go there and reflect. And it's such an inspiring place. From there, we see actually also we went to Zhengding. Zhengding is a county where President Xi Jinping used to work there when he was just 31. When he was 31 years old, he already the county mayor. And at year 31, he just led this county into a rich county. What did he do? Actually, it was he who built Zhengding as a place where they shot the Hong Lou Meng, the Red Chamber, the Dream in the Red Chamber TV series. You know, Chen Xiaoxu and so on. That first Hong Lou Meng TV series was shot there, and it was Xi Jinping was the leader there, and he just introduced this program and make Zhengding just famous immediately, and immediately become a tourist attraction. So tourists all over China just go there to see these Hong Lou Meng's shooting sites, shooting place. And he also make the place green. So because it's near Beijing, so they did a lot of plantation. They have greenhouse plantation, and they grow a lot of vegetables, and these vegetables can supply Beijing. So we can see that Xi Jinping actually is really very experienced and wise. In Liangjiahe, Shanxi province, when he was the party secretary, when he was just 18 years old, and he just helped the villagers to build a this 沼气 is we say biogas for the villagers as energy. And he learned this technology from Sichuan. He went to Sichuan to learn this technology and build that for the villager. And then at 31, when he went to Zhengding, and he just developed both in culture and green crops, turned them into economy. So his economic idea is really very green idea. It's not big factories, chemicals, or anything else. It's a culture, it's history, and it's the green vegetables. So these ideas is really basic, but also very down to earth. It's very suitable for the local people. So no wonder he later put forward this idea like 绿水青山就是金山银山. The green mountains is the gold mountain. And people treat it as his theory already. Yeah, and then from Zhengding we went to Beilaihe, Qianhuangdao, Tangshan. And yeah, so we went to Beilaihe, Qianhuangdao first, and then we come to Tangshan, come back. And then Beilaihe, Qianhuangdao is it's a Great Wall starting point. So also the beach is also very beautiful, good tourist site, and green development is the key there. And in Tangshan is a special. I need to mention more because if you remember that in 1975, July 28th, in China, Tangshan, there was a tremendous earthquake. And that earthquake killed 240,000 people. So the whole city was shaken down. All the people were buried. A lot of children later, their family member become dumb. Why? Because their parents all died and they become orphan, and they were raised by the party. All the money is put in by the party. So their family name became dumb. And yeah, and actually it is a coal mine city, and also Kailuan Meikuang is in Tangshan. And you know that in Beijing, Beijing's Shougang Capital Iron and Steel Corporation moved there. Okay, I think it's too long now. It's 1 hour, so I have to stop here and I will begin again. So please stay tuned. See you in a second.